May peace be upon you all. My name is Omar and today we're going to learn how to create this split versus text effect. Before we begin, if you find this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Your support means the world to me. Now, let's get started. First things first, let's set up our project. Drag the VS illustration file, start a new composition with these settings: Full HD, 24 frames per second, and as a start, we can make it 15 seconds long. We'll change this later. And the name will be Versus. We start by typing our title text, each on its own layer. Then we choose the proportional editing from the grid options. We use a grid and our eyes to align the words and to make the words feel similar in size. Now it's time to drop the illustration file. Right-click it and choose Create Shapes from Vector Layer inside the Create option. Then align it to its place. Delete the illustration layer as we don't need it anymore. Now we start the animation part. We click the stopwatch button and move the key to the half-second mark. Move the handle to the start of the composition and set the scale to 0. The animation is not looking right because we changed the position of the anchor points of the layers. Make sure to go to the point where the animation has finished and then recenter the anchor points of the layers. Now we select all keyframes and then press F9 to easy ease. To make the animation feel snappier, we go to the graph editor and choose speed graph and then drag the two handles to the center like this. This will make the animation feel more professional. I wanted the animation to be like this. The two text layers show first, then the verses is shown after them. Now let's start building the divider that will replace the verses illustration. We choose the rounded rectangle tool and then start drawing a rectangle in place of the illustration. Just make sure that the corners are one continuous arc. Then we go to the contents rectangle path, then right-click and choose Convert to Bezier Path. Then we will click the path and click Ctrl+C to copy. We click the drop-downs to reach the path of the illustration and click the stopwatch to start the animation. Then go to the end of the animation after half a second and Ctrl+V to paste the divider in its place. And after a ton of time trying to handle the curve points, by the way, if you have a better way to handle the curve points, please put them down in the comments section below, as this will be helpful for me and others watching the video. And this is the frustrating part. We try to position the divider in place of the position it was before, shown here in the background. And then just like before, we select the two keys and press F9 to easy ease them. Select both of the text layers and press P to show only the position. Then right click and select Separate Dimensions. Then click the stopwatch beside the Y position and then we can create our animation the way we like it. Here I'm animating them going up like that. And of course, to make the animation snappy like before, we drag the handles to the middle like this. Let's start with the smaller description text. We drag a box of text under the first title and type in our description text. Then copy-paste the layer and move it to its new position. Then change the text inside it to the description of the other title. Here I made some adjustments to the timing and changed the position of the x-axis to be more centered between the titles. We move the two description layers to the relative position and time to start animating. Expand the first layer and in front of the text, click on the arrow beside the animate and select opacity and change the opacity to 0 and expand the range selector and advanced arrows and change the units from percentage to index and change the based on from characters to words. Change the start value to 4. Here, let me try to explain these values. We are trying to animate the text based on the index of the word. So to make sure that all words are visible, we need to type in a number that is bigger than the index of the last word. So 0, 1, 2, and the index of the last word will be 3. That's why we need to type in 4. Okay, in action it will be easier to understand. When we start animating the end, we notice that it's fading the word in, and I don't want that. So we go to the smoothness and set it to 0. Now it's showing the whole word. Then we start animating the end value. Here I clicked on the layer and pressed on the shortcut key U to show only the animated values. Then move the handle to its wanted time. Then go to the beginning and set the end value to 0. This is when I take my time to modify the timing of the appearance of the words. We do the same thing to the other layer. Start by copying the full animator tab, then paste it on the other layer text. Then of course modify the timing of appearance of the words. We decide where to end the animation. After selecting all layers, click Alt and End bracket. This will create the ending of these layers. Press N to mark the end of the composition. Then right-click on the composition timeline and choose Trim Comp to Work Area. Now that the creating of the layers and animation all done, we start by finalizing our composition. Create a new null object, then pick up all the layers to this new null to make it the parent. Then we select the scale by pressing S on the keyboard. Then animate it to 0. Like we're always doing, select all the keys and press F9 to easy ease them. And go to the graph editor and make them snappy, like before. Actually, I didn't like how this is animating, so I selected both keyframes and changed the graph to value graph. You see, we don't want the curve to be like this, so we'll select the key and change the handle position to make the animation abrupt like this. I even zoomed in a little bit more to make the animation so abrupt. It's very pleasing this way and so snappy. Now we create a new solid to be the background of our composition. I found this color to be better. We set the hue to 0 and saturation to 0 and the blackness level to 10%. Then click OK and drag the layer to the bottom behind all layers, then start adding effects to it. We start by adding the noise and setting it to 20%. Don't mind how it looks right now, it will all go together later. And then we add a gradient ramp and switch the ramp shape from linear to radial. Then modify the positions to make them point from down upwards. Then swap the colors to make the bright comes from the bottom. Then play with the blending option to reveal the noise. We make sure we are at the position where everything is shown and select all the layers and make the colors white. Then we choose the vector layer and change the fill to white. Now the contrast is back again. We create a new adjustment layer and add the fast box blur effect. And set the blur radius to 10 pixels. Then search for the CC composite effect. And change the composite original to overlay. And set the opacity to 30 pixels. These settings work best for me. Then I moved back to the solid layer and adjusted some parameters to make the composition look good. And to finalize the project, I made some adjustments to the timing of the animation and how the project looks and feels overall. This will be yours to change and depends on your project. And there you have it, folks. You have just learned how to create an eye-catching split versus text effect in After Effects. Remember, practice makes perfect. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Your support means everything to me.